Hi, hello and welcome to this video. Today I'm going to look back into 2022 and I'm going to talk about my favorites from 2022 in retrospect. What do I feel about them a year later? Now, I'm sure you have many a question about my attire. Why the hell do I look like this? There's a very simple answer. I am going to the department Christmas party in about an hour from now, and we had the assignment to put on the ugliest Christmas sweater we could think of. And at first I was like, I'm actually not going to participate because I don't have a Christmas sweater and I don't want to waste my money. And to be fair, most of the Christmas sweaters they sell aren't really ugly, they're really cute. But then I went to Primark and I found this pajama in the kids department. And I legit think it's one of the ugliest things I've ever seen. So I decided to participate and I decided to, you know, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. So I'm also wearing my little antlers here. And you haven't even seen the best part yet. Wait, let me show you. You can't really see it very well because I have my ring light on, but I'm basically going to be wearing little Christmas lights here, okay? It's going to be so much fun. I don't know if I'm going to win a prize, but I definitely stand a chance. I've switched off the lights as to not distract you too much, but so the way I was doing these videos up till last year was basically rank my top 10 favorite makeup products, and actually I've included also non-makeup categories the last couple of years. But because I didn't really have favorites per category in the past couple of years, I just thought it might be fun to pick 10 and just rank them, and that was really fun. This year it's going to be different. This year I'm actually going to go per category and tell you what my favorites are, because I do think that I could pick favorites per category. But anyway, I actually haven't seen that video in a really long time and I have very vague memories of what's in it. So I'm just going to start watching the video and I'm going to comment as we go on what I think about the specific favorites that I had last year, this year. Okay, so the first non-makeup category that I talked about last year was jewelry, and more specifically jewelry from Ana Luisa. I do think there's going to be one piece from their collection that's going to also make it to my favorites this year, but I really can't say anything besides, yes, I still very much enjoy their pieces. Everything that I've gotten from them graces my ears and my fingers on a regular basis, mostly because I wear like earrings and rings the most. I rarely wear bracelets and necklaces. I do have both from them and I have worn them in the past, but earrings and rings are really where it's at. Ironically, right now I'm not really wearing anything from them because I'm wearing my little like a Christmas tree earrings and some pieces on my fingers that are not from Ana Luisa, but their pieces continue to be my absolute favorites. I think last year in particular I mentioned my little hoops here with the pearl, still a favorite. The little summer earrings that I got, the yellow statement pieces, also really beautiful. I still really love wearing these in the summer, and I continue to really enjoy Ana Luisa's jewelry, so frankly there's really not much more to say. And by the way, this video is not even in any sort of like collaboration with them. We had like a VIP 1-year collaboration which ended a couple of months ago, and since then I kind of told them that I don't really have the time to make a commitment, so right now we don't really have any sort of relationship anymore, so I talk about their jewelry because I truly just enjoy it. Okay, another category that I did include last year as well, maybe for the first time, was perfume. You're going to see perfumes in my yearly favorites this year as well, but last year I talked about I Want Choo from Jimmy Choo. I still really love this perfume. It is just the perfect oriental vanilla spice kind of perfume. I'm a sucker for vanilla scents. I like all sorts of varieties of vanilla scents, the more like bakery ones, the more oriental ones, which is this one. I do really love how this perfume wears as well because it is just so incredibly long lasting. It's just a really lovely perfume. It has great longevity, it projects really well, so there's really nothing has changed in regards to my feelings for this perfume. You might be wondering why I still have this perfume and I haven't finished it yet if I enjoy it so much. The matter of fact is that I tend to use perfumes relatively sparingly. I don't really douse myself in perfume. I spritz a few times and then I'm done. And I also have a lot of perfumes, and this year I sort of ventured into a lot of like new territory in terms of perfume, so I had a lot of things to try. So even though I haven't really made a dent in this, I do still really enjoy it. I wear it on a regular basis and it is still a favorite. Another non-makeup category that I've included and probably is going to come back this year is makeup tools, so makeup brushes in particular. And last year I chose this little kabuki from Koyodo because I really, it's shaped like a little cat paw, FYI. And it also feels as soft when you touch your face with it. But I really like this for application of powder. Now I will say, in the last year I have used this brush a little bit less than I used to because I've sort of like gone back to really enjoying my smooth buffer from Sonia G. And there's really no like rhyme or reason to that. I just go through periods when I intensely love the smooth buffer from Sonia G, and then I go through periods when I intensely love this brush. So there's really nothing has really changed. I still really enjoy this brush, but right now I'm in a smooth buffer phase. Okay, I'm telling you now, this might be a little bit boring because I'm now starting to get the feeling that everything that I loved last year is still a favorite. I have flashes of a couple of products that were in my top 10, and I do still really love those. So prepare yourself to be bored. So getting into the actual makeup favorites now, which probably is the more interesting part for you. The first product that I talked about is this Suicune blush. This is one of their melting powder blushes, and this one is in the shade 05. This is a really unique shade of blush in a really fabulous formula. I still really enjoy this blush and this formula. With that said, do I think that the Suicune melting powder blushes are my absolute favorite like formula out there? I don't think so. Suicune is the kind of brand that I appreciate and I have a lot of like respect for, and I really like the things that they are doing, but I feel like a lot of them are just not exactly meant for me. Now, the unfortunate thing about this formula is that I've heard rumors that it's being discontinued. I'm not really sure how much you can find still available from these, whether this color is at all available, but it is still a beautiful formula. It's a very interesting formula, and I think what I talked about last year is not only this color but also this formula, because to me it is to this date one of the most innovative things that I've seen on the market in terms of like a face product, because it is this very interesting like, it's not squishy, but it almost feels squishy, like cream to powder formula. It's a bit like jelly, not really jelly, I don't really know how to describe it. It is a very interesting formula that goes on very smoothly on the face. It is very flattering, very buildable, and this specific color really truly is very unique because it is a very yellow tinged orange. Not a shade that's going to suit everyone, but certainly a shade that suits me and I still really enjoy. Okay, then I talked about the Charlotte Tilbury Sun-Kissed Bronzing Powder. So those were the cream bronzer summer offering from Charlotte Tilbury last year. And I don't really know what to tell you guys. I still really love these. I have two shades. I have the shade 2, which is my summer shade. And I also have the shade 1 Fair, which is my winter shade, which as you can see is very much like a contour type shade. Really lovely formula, really lovely blushes. I still very much think the packaging is truly lovely. I still use these bronzers a lot. Don't really know what to tell you. Still a favorite. Honestly, I told you this video is going to be super boring. Okay, next I talked about my first Pat McGrath Labs product, and this is Golden Moonlight, one of her highlighters that she also released in the summer of last year. I bought the original one in this formula, Golden Nectar. I fell in love with the formula, and then when she released additional colors, I decided to get something that falls into the category of like really uninteresting and really boring, because it is just a golden champagne. But the reason I fell in love with it and the reason I still really like this highlighter is that it is very suitable for my skin tone. It is like that light enough champagne to really lift my cheekbones and not appear like a darker stripe on top of my cheeks, but it also has a little bit of warmth to it so that it's not too cool toned on my skin. The only thing that I can mention specifically for this color is that I've had it like 3 times now, and twice it came broken, and this one the pan actually just sort of moves around in there. I'm not really sure whether it's the actual metal pan or the product in there, but every now and then I have to like sort of smoosh it back so that it doesn't fall out and break on me. So there is something with the pressing of these powders that didn't go quite right, but this specific shade of highlighter and the formula are still phenomenal. So yeah, I still really like it. At least so far I'm really having fun, because I truly didn't remember any of these products. Like, not that I didn't remember them generally speaking, but I didn't remember that they made it into my favorites, because also, if I'm being honest, I don't really remember when things came out precisely. The next favorite that made it into my ranking is the Natasha Denona Glam Face and Eye Palette in the light shade. Still, to date, one of my favorite palettes from Natasha Denona. It just looks super basic, and really not exciting at all, but it is one of those palettes that gives you a beautiful daytime neutral look, but make it glam, because the formula of these two eyeshadows here, the light pinky champagne and the rose goldy champagne, are just this sweet, sparkly, really reflective type of formula that Natasha doesn't really always give us in her palettes. The three mattes are on a bit of the lighter side, but that really makes them very approachable, because you can never really go wrong. If you're in a hurry in the morning and you just want to throw on something that will make you stand out, but you will not look like a hot mess because you didn't have enough time to blend out your eyeshadows, this is perfect. I also really like the blush and the highlighter that are supplied with these palettes. The blush is in sort of like this like cream to powder type formula, and the highlighter is actually very similar in formula, at least in my experience, to the Golden Moonlight one that I just showed from Pat McGrath Labs. I feel like they're equally like lightweight and smooth on the skin. In a sea of new brands and luxury formulas that I tried this year, especially also in the neutral department, I'll be honest, this palette has gotten a little bit lost, and maybe I don't use it as much as I did last year, but when I do think of it and I do pull it out, I always really enjoy it, so still a favorite. The next product that I talked about last year is the Flash 3 lipstick from Pat McGrath. Is that Flash 3? No, that's Fever Dream. I'm showing you the wrong lipstick, excuse me. So this is Flash 3. This is one of the matte trans lipsticks from Pat McGrath Labs, one of her, you know, famous Flash line lipsticks, which are just the perfect nudes. This is a somewhat deeper nude. It is like a terracotta brownie nude on me. And I use the term nude here very, very loosely, because I think a lot of people understand nudes as like concealer type lips, and for me nude is just like a neutral shade that suits your, you know, face undertones and coloring and just flatters you when you put it on, but it doesn't really have much of like a specific color to it. It's not a pink, it's not a brown, it's not a red. And to me, this is one of the most perfect nudes. And if anything, I've fallen in love with it even more this year than I did last year. I think last year when I spoke about it, I had just gotten it like a month or two prior to that, and I already knew that it's a very Mariam shade and I will really enjoy it. But this year, now that I've had the opportunity to use it for like a little over a year, I can tell you I love this lipstick even more than I did last year. It is beautiful. Now, unlike in the video that you're going to see next week when I am going to talk about my favorites from 2023, last year obviously there was a mothership in the ranking, and that was Mothership 10 Moonlit Seduction. Of course, Moonlit Seduction still remains one of my favorites. I think you need to do like a simple search through my pet pairing videos as of late to see how often Moonlit Seduction has made it into the videos, to rest assured that this is still one of my favorite palettes. I do have to say, I do use this palette more in the winter than I do in the summer. I don't think in the summer I even thought much of it, but as soon as it became grey, rainy and disgusting outside, I was like, oh yeah, Moonlit Seduction will come out to play. I have to make it a point to actually pull it out a little bit more often, to use like these three shades over here, because they're really, really pretty. Because what I usually will pull this palette out for is the shade Platinum Dusk here, because I think this is just one of the most perfect like taupey silver browns ever. I love it. It is cool toned, it is sparkly, it has such an interesting tone to it. I absolutely love it. I still hate the maroon shade. I think you will be able to tell that this shade is practically untouched and new. I never use it. I do occasionally use the little terracotta shade here, because that is a flattering shade on me. Not necessarily one that I think fits super well with the rest of the shades in here, but still a very nice shade. I do really like the dark brown matte. We had another lipstick in the ranking, and this one is from Lisa Eldridge. Of course there was going to be a Lisa Eldridge lipstick in the ranking. Why did I think there wasn't going to be one? There's going to be plenty this year. But specifically last year I talked about the shade Sorcery. Yet again, a lipstick that I had in my possession for a very short time when I included it in this ranking. Yet again a shade that I love even more now, a year later, because it is such an interesting, again, nude. Unlike Flash 5, which is more of like a warmer nude, this one tends to like hang out on the other side of the spectrum, where it has these really, really interesting cooler tones to it, but without really being too gray and too cool toned and too unflattering, which is always my problem with these sort of like grungy lipsticks, that they just look too gray, too yellow, or too, you know, they're too grungy. There is such a thing as too grungy, at least for me, and I just can't pull them off. But this is a grungy lipstick that actually looks flattering. It is just such a gorgeous, stunning and unique shade. Honestly, if you were looking to buy only very unique lipsticks from Lisa Eldridge's range, I think Sorcery would absolutely be one of my first recommendations for you. We are in the top 2 territory from last year, and I think both of these products are sort of going to speak for themselves. The first one being the Bronze Bliss Quint from Pat McGrath Labs. You will remember that last year I became thoroughly obsessed with this formula and with this quint in particular. I love it so much that I actually broke one of my biggest rules when it comes to buying makeup, and that is buying backups. I never buy backups of color cosmetics because I think it is the dumbest thing to do, given how long it takes to go through eyeshadows, blushes, bronzers, that kind of thing, especially if you have a lot and you rotate through them a lot. But given the use that I'm getting out of this quint, midway through this year I all of a sudden freaked out that there may come a day when I am out of these eyeshadows, and I just couldn't even stand the thought of that. So I purchased the other quint that was part of this collection, first of all, that I hadn't purchased before because I didn't think I would like it. Silly me, I fell in love with it. But I also purchased a backup, a Bronze Bliss, which is now in my drawers, and I am very curious how long it's going to stay there before I actually have to dig into it. As much as I love Bronze Bliss, as often as I use it, and as tiny as these pans are, I think there is still so much product in here that it will probably take me at least another 5 to 10 years before I have to dig into the backup. But at the very least, I can sleep at night knowing that I will never have to be without Bronze Bliss. So I'm guessing that kind of spoke for itself in terms of whether this is still a favorite. And then the last favorite, okay, I remember the last favorite. The last favorite is going to be another one that sort of speaks for itself, because ever since I purchased my first Gucci blush last year, I don't think I've been able to shut up about these blushes, and since then I've obtained 2 more. So the shade that I fell in love with last year, and I still think it's one of my favorites from the range, is this one. This is the shade Rosy Beige, and Rosy Beige is this like perfect, slightly mauve, slightly brown, slightly nude kind of blush that is just absolute perfection for the winter. Another one that I use very seasonally. You will never see me feature this blush in the summer months, but I'm pretty sure that as soon as, again, the rainy, gloomy and gray weather starts, I immediately think of Rosy Beige and it immediately starts to grace my cheeks. Let's say that the fact that you can't really see the Gucci writing anymore here is a testament to how much I love this blush. But honestly, this blush and like the whole range again has been something that I loved last year and I love even more this year. This is by far my absolute favorite like luxury brand blush formula out there. I like the packaging, I like the colors, I love the formula. I think it is thin but buildable and flattering and long-lasting, and I just love everything about these Gucci blushes, and the shade Rosy Beige still remains one of my favorites. So yeah, clearly I continue to love everything that I loved last year, which is a good thing and a bad thing. A good thing because I invested my money wisely, a bad thing because this turned out to be a very repetitive and boring video for you. I'm very, very sorry. I hope that you still were able to enjoy it. I would be very curious to hear what were your top 3 favorites from 2022 and do you still love them? I can't wait to chat with you again in the comments. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye!